Plankton is SpongeBob's main antagonist, known for wanting to get the mythical Krabby Patty recipe to rescue the Chum Bucket, the most failed restaurant in the universe. But if his restaurant has been a failure for decades, where does he get the money to make his inventions? I mean, they don't look cheap at all, but since they make a new one every week, it almost seems like he has unlimited money, even though he should be mired in misery. And sometimes it even seems like he is, if we remember that time he had to eat holographic food. So today we'll explore that strange but interesting side of SpongeBob's character's financial life, revealing that maybe he's the most millionaire bikini bottom millionaire. Maybe. Sheldon J. Plankton was once Mr. Krabs' best friend, but after the death of their friendship, he has remained his greatest rival for decades, always hatching plans to steal the secret formula for the Krabby Patty, and as mentioned, he does it with surprisingly expensive inventions, and this is not crazy speculation or anything like that. In fact, this investigation stems from a video on SpongeBob's official channel, where they hired a financial advisor to help Plankton pay off his debts and improve his finances. We're not going to take the entire content of the video as the basis for this one, because it's partly a joke saying that Plankton is in debt up to his legs when he's clearly a secret millionaire, but the segment where they talk about the prices of each invention, making some adjustments to current prices, is surprisingly useful. For example, the robots that Plankton creates are quite complex and with top-of-the-line materials, costing the same as a luxury car. Back then, they cost around $59,280, and today, thanks to inflation, they have an average price of about $75,000. Plankton creates about 8 of these robots a year, according to the video, so it costs him about $600,000 a year to build his robot army. The rest of his inventions have an average price similar to that of a high-end PC, which nowadays can vary depending on your components, and you can invest from $2,000 to $8,000 or even more. Applying this information to that given to us by the official SpongeBob channel, the average price of Plankton's regular inventions is about $7,000, or the equivalent of a fairly high-end PC. Plankton makes about 3 of these a year, so we have a sum of $21,000 per year for this second type of inventions. Last but not least, Plankton also has some personal inventions, which he uses to move around, transport himself, or defend himself, such as some small arms. These cost about the same as a high-end cell phone according to that video, which we can approximate to about $1,000. Of these devices, Plankton creates about 5 per year, which represents an investment of another $5,000 per year. In total, Plankton needs an approximate investment of $626,000 per year to realize all his inventions, a much higher sum than the one raised in the original video of Bob's channel, since it was made before the pandemic and inflation spares no one. Now, if we take this perspective to calculate his financial status, you might think that he must indeed be in debt up to his legs. Not only that, but Sandy should also have exorbitant expenses, but you forget that she has her scientific sponsors, and they devoted an entire episode to showing how she had to impress them, entitled Chimps Ahoy. Plankton hasn't been shown to have a sponsor, and while he does have a career, I doubt any university would be encouraged to give him funding knowing that his use would be personal and mostly evil. The only instance where something like this might be possible is in the season 7 episode Perfect Chemistry, where Sandy and Plankton work together to develop a teleportation machine, with Bob being the guinea pig for this experiment. Plankton attempts to use this artifact to steal the formula once again, but Sandy prevents this from happening as she was prepared for this scenario, locking Plankton up at the end of the episode. In theory, Plankton could have gotten a lot of financial mileage out of working with Sandy, introducing her invention to the millionaire chimpanzees who fund her and revolutionizing the mobility industry forever, but that doesn't happen on screen, aside from the fact that this episode is in a somewhat advanced season and does not explain to us all the inventions of the previous 6 seasons, but there is another possibility. Throughout the series, it is mentioned on several occasions that the Chum Bucket is a failed restaurant, either because we always see it empty or because Plankton himself assures us that he never has customers. For example, in the episode A New Life, he tells Mr. Krabs that up to this point his only customer has been a dead rat. And in another episode we see Karen pay a guy named Nat Peterson to pretend to be a loyal customer of the Chum Bucket. But the deal falls through as Nat ends up getting sick from ingesting the food. However, although the bucket never has customers consume the bait inside the restaurant, it does have orders constantly. They apparently ask for their order to go or have it delivered. This is revealed in a Season 9 episode called Jailbreak. In this chapter, Plankton finds himself in prison after committing some of his misdeeds, and although at first he goes unnoticed or treated badly by the rest of the prisoners, he later realizes that they are in fact fans of him, as due to his malevolent plans, Plankton is a legend in this place. This encourages him to reveal that he is the real Plankton, and he convinces them to come up with plans to escape from this place. While having a meeting to discuss escape ideas, Plankton learns that the prisoners are not only fans of him, but of his bait, but not because they like to eat it, but because they use it to commit various crimes. For example, one of the inmates reveals that he emptied a bucket of bait on his head to use it as a disguise. And in the flashback, we see that his face became so deformed after pouring the bait that he even ends up looking like Squidward. Another of those present tells how he used the bait to make bombs that produced a stench so powerful that it knocked out everyone present and took advantage of the confusion to rob banks. Although the stories stop here, it is understood that the rest have similar experiences where they all used bait as a tool to commit their crimes. If we look at it another way, this means that Plankton has a loyal customer base, they just don't eat his product, but use it to commit malevolent crimes. Calculating his revenue based on this is a very loose science because we have to make a lot of assumptions, but I think we can make an attempt. The first thing is to know how many clients he has. We already know that all the Bikini Bottom prisoners love him, so if we know the prisoner population, we know the number of regular clients, but nowhere do they give us a number like that. We can approximate it from the Bikini Bottom population, keeping in mind that the percentage of the total US population that is in prison is around 1%, on average. The problem is that we have been given quite different numbers, such as in the SpongeBob SquarePants annual magazine of 2010, where it mentions that Bikini Bottom has about 800 inhabitants, a number that contrasts with the 46,000 customers that SpongeBob and Patrick received in the Patty Hype episode. In Nautical Novice, Mrs. Puff says that Bikini Bottom has millions of inhabitants, while, in The Good Krabby Name, it is said that they have about 500. So, for today, we will say that they are around 40,000 inhabitants, since Bikini Bottom is shown as a big town or a rather small city, and I really don't see the point of it having as many or as few inhabitants as with the other numbers the show gives us. This gives us, statistically speaking, about 400 prisoners in the Bikini Bottom prisons. And keeping in mind that on one occasion Plankton was trying to sell a bait stick to a female citizen in a stadium for $10, we can figure about $4,000 if each of these inmates make a single order to him. And yes, we have no idea how many times they buy his products monthly, and we have lots and lots of holes in our information, but this mental exercise shows that, at the very least, he has monthly revenues in the thousands of dollars. This means that, right off the bat, Plankton has the necessary income to be able to carry out his normal inventions, which run around $7,000 or less very easily. Now, this doesn't explain how he finances his robot army, but maybe those same inventions could give us another solution. I mean, he could sell them to other criminals or use them to conquer a small country. And I'm not saying he has, but he surely could. Just like he could be filling the Bikini Bottom society with robots little by little. This is a theory we return to often on this channel, and we've been gathering more and more evidence in its favor. Coming out of a joke theory created by Alex Bale, the robot invasion theory postulates that Plankton is behind several robots we see in the series. Robots that have gradually infiltrated the Bikini Bottom society. You can watch the video we did a few months ago for more details. But the curious thing, and what matters to us now, is that many of these robots come from technology that Plankton developed earlier. For example, in Life of Crime in Season 7, we see a piece that closely resembles SpongeBob's robot that Plankton created in Season 2, as well as the assistant robot that appears in the hospital in the episode My Leg, which is very similar to the one in the episode Plankton's Army in its design and dimensions. And we cannot forget the whirly brains, which the theory postulates could also have been created by Plankton, and count as another great source of income. These are clear indications that the inventions that Plankton has made in the series are not always sent to the warehouse to keep dust, but on many occasions they are also modified to be sold and continue to obtain income to keep the chum bucket standing, such as selling the robots as machines for automated work. Under this logic, perhaps he did become a millionaire between one episode and another, taking advantage of the fact that he invented a teleporter with Sandy. And besides, if we watch the episode Bottle Burglars, it is seen that Plankton possesses nuclear fuel rods, managing to stabilize them in such a way that they can be worth millions, automatically making him someone much wealthier than Mr. Krabs. Other million-dollar ideas could come from that gas that I believe turns people into babies. and his bait also serves to drastically change people's faces. So if he were to change some of his inventions a bit to sell them to surgeons and other aesthetic specialists, he has the potential to become the next Jeff Bezos. Another theory we saw in the forums is that Karen could be another source of money, keeping Plankton afloat with investments or small businesses while this guy spends all his money on technology to steal the secret formula for a patty. Another side of this same coin is that it is an artificial intelligence super advanced to its time, capable of developing calculations like no other, besides that it manages to perfectly simulate human behavior and emotions. And just in today's age, big corporations burn and burn millions on artificial intelligences. So Karen would be one of the most valuable inventions in the whole world. And if Plankton created her, he already has the knowledge needed to become an ultra mega billionaire. The problem is that Karen has family, and we've even seen her mom, Emil, so Plankton didn't invent her, so this angle doesn't work. But wait, if he has so much money, why does he eat holograms? Well, it turns out that in real life Plankton feeds by photosynthesis, meaning light is its food source, literally. SpongeBob's Plankton probably likes to eat other things too, but eating light is the most normal thing it does. All this means that even though Mr. Krabs has what Plankton has wanted most of his life, the secret formula for the Krabby Patty, Plankton has in his possession a fortune that Mr. Krabs can never hope to have. Both represent what the other most desires, which is kind of ironic on Plankton's part, because his entire fortune has come from his obsession with the Krabby Patty, developing super advanced technology that he can sell, as toys, weapons, automated labor, or as part of other industries, but he is so blinded by his failures that he refuses to let go of the chum bucket and his obsession to finally make it successful. So I hope you liked this money video. Like it if you did, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.